Come in there, some bread and sticks, like cheesy bread.
Hello, y'all. What's up? It's me, the one and only Dark Lord 100, aka Double K. It's supposed to say K, double K down there, not K double, but y'all get the point. And the one and only Mr. Suave. What is up, sir?
What up, man?
We are here to bring you this week's edition of The Classroom. O'Malley's had some personal stuff, so she will be sitting this one out. Don't tell me Suave is too. No. As y'all know, The Classroom can be found on Facebook. All you got to do is search on Facebook, The Classroom featuring, and you will find our fan page. Go ahead and like and follow to stay up with all the latest news from First GenXers and from the show. All right, so it is NFL week, I believe, 12. And we are going to look at some early, mid, and late game action and some of what I consider to be some of the best games from this day. Let's see. Let's start out with the Chicago Bears beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in a shocker that I don't think anybody saw. Both are leading or near the top of their division. Caleb Williams and them, I believe, have won 3 or 4 straight. They're really rocking and rolling. That defense is kind of the anchor of it all. I'll say, in Pittsburgh, not to give them an excuse because there is no excuse. They were without Aaron Rodgers, but who knows if that would have made a difference. Swab, your thoughts on this game?
Well, with Aaron Rodgers not playing, the Bears had to have this win. Most teams, when they get to this kind of point in the season, you can't cough up games especially to backup quarterbacks that hadn't really played all season. So the Bears had to have it because they've been playing well all season. You got to give them their due and their credit. Caleb Williams is doing enough of that for that team. The defense, they are anchoring the whole program. So, it's a great win for the Bears. I'm happy to see them becoming relevant again, even though we just aren't sure what their ceiling is per se. The defense may give out when it comes to playoff time, or Caleb Williams may have a bad game, or hell, they may win a game or two before it comes crashing down. I do not think. Let me rephrase that. They are a low-end Super Bowl contender. They do every team in the league has a puncher's chance, and if you can string together 3 or 4 wins, that's what it comes down to at the end of the season. You just expect the better teams that have been there before with the experience to do better. But the Bears have done exactly what they needed to do, and you got to give them credit. Steelers are still in the mix. I don't know how long Rodgers is going to be out for, but you just can't never count out Tomlin to at least make the playoffs.
Well, yeah, he's going to keep his teams competitive. And I heard you slip that in there. Don't worry about it. We ain't going to argue about that on the show. Anyway, Say, but anyway, no, the Bears have not surprised me because the guy that took over the team comes from the Detroit Lions and how they basically turned that franchise around and made them relevant again. So I think that the Bears, shoot, this would be, if the Bears do make the playoffs and make a decent run, this would be the first time since Rex Grossman took them to the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning that the Bears have even really sniffed being a true, like, even Super Bowl contender, even though right now I consider them more of a playoff contender than a championship contender. But games like this definitely lean them more towards that championship thought process. I like what Williams is doing in general as a player. Like, I want to say, like, he was the first last year. He was the first Bears quarterback to put up 4,000 yards in the season in the air. In this game, he threw for 239 and 3 touchdowns. Gainwell, who sat on my bench, I could have used him, but oh well. Carried 10 times for 92, and DJ Moore for Chicago had 5 receptions with 2 touchdowns. At this point, without Aaron Rodgers, the Bears are just a better team, and that showed today. Now, this was a game that I did not see ending like this. I believe I picked the Kansas City Chiefs to win in my weekly pick'em, but not in this fashion. I didn't see this coming. At one point, Kansas City was down 20-9 to this very good Indianapolis Colts team. And then Patrick Mahomes and the boys did what Patrick Mahomes and the boys do, and Kansas City pulled out the victory in overtime with a Buckner field goal. So how you feeling about this, bro? Does this turn the Chiefs season around?
Well, the Chiefs were never really out of it. It's not like they necessarily got a losing record. They were sitting at 500. They're waiting to make a run. This right here shows the difference in these two teams. While the Colts have had a great season, and you got to tip your cap to how well they've played and how well the running back is having a renaissance to being one of the top backs in the league again. And Daniel Jones coming from, he wasn't even a dark horse. He came out of nowhere to help lead this team, which is crazy considering his history showed
Yeah.
that he wasn't even an average NFL quarterback, but it definitely shows that sometimes it's about where you're at can
Instead of winning.
determine, change the narrative of who you are as a player.
Right.
The Chiefs, this is just kind of shows their championship grit. This is a win that they had to have. They couldn't necessarily fall below under 500. So getting to 6-5 and staying in the thick of it is definitely a boon for them. This will definitely be a learning opportunity for the Colts because when you have a team as competent as the Chiefs down 20-7 or whatever it was,
20-9 at one
yeah,
point.
20-9. You gotta be able to find a way to finish that game off. You have to finish that game. You need that win. But the Chiefs, championship level team, they're not as strong as they have been. But it's games like this that will give them the confidence that they haven't lost it.
True. True. I think that they're always a threat come playoff time. The bigger question is going to be, is this up and down Chiefs team actually going to make it to the playoffs? Like, they have a good shot, but it's
Yeah,
going to be wild card or bust for them, really, I think, this season, unless they go on some kind of spectacular run. 17 games is what they play now. So the
yeah.
best that they could hope to finish is 12-5 if they ran the table. So I don't know. I have to see who are they playing. Let's take a look at who the Chiefs
Yeah,
do.
I think they get to 10 wins. I haven't seen the rest of their schedule. I'd be surprised if they ran the table. NFL is kind of fickle like that. But I could definitely see them getting to 10, 11 wins, maybe squeezing in a loss here or there. But all their for this team, it kind of reminds me of a lot of championships teams we've seen in recent years, throughout all sports. It's just about getting there. And if you can get there, then you can start making the magic happen.
All right, so here is the Chiefs' remaining schedule for the rest of the season. They've got the Cowboys. They're going into Jerry World next week. They then play against Houston at home in week 14, and then the Chargers at home in week 15. Tennessee in week 16. Denver in week 17. who already beat them 22-19 in week 11. And then the last game of the year, I'm seeing at least 1-2 guaranteed victories, potentially 3.
Yeah.
So you're looking at what? If they go 3-3, 9-8, but they'll shock somebody with a win against either Houston, Los Angeles, or Denver.
I think Dallas will be a trap game. Dallas had to come from behind victory that I didn't see them pulling off against the Eagles. They might be coming off of a high. I don't know if this will be a run for Dallas. So I
Yeah,
definitely think the Chiefs could go in there and kind of shock them after, the Cowboys put everything they needed and had to get this much needed victory against Philly. I
which
don't
we'll
see
get
the
to.
type.
That's actually our next game.
I don't see. I see the Chiefs beating Tennessee for sure, the Raiders for sure, even though divisional games are always iffy. Um, the tough games for them are going to be the other two divisional games, the Chargers and the Broncos. If they win those games, they could win five or six of the remaining games, but they've got to beat the division to. I mean, if they beat those guys in the division, they have a chance to win in the division, and then that puts them right in the hunt.
All right. Now, speaking of in the hunt, unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys kept themselves in the hunt by beating the Eagles 24-21. You were talking about earlier. I'll let you go off a little bit more about the unlikely victory by the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, Eagles got a little complacent. The Dallas Cowboys offense is probably one of the best offenses in the game, especially when it's clicking. Today it was clicking. It didn't start that way. They needed, a little bit of time to get it done. But, when they were down, I believe they were down 21-7. And I was like, oh, it's lights out. It looks like it's going to be over. And I'm thinking, looking at my fantasy team, like, oh, this is not going to end well. And the next thing I know, Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott. And I was like, so I give Dallas a lot of credit. They're still in the hunt. They still have an opportunity. The defense got a lot of work left to do, but
Yep.
I mean that offense is like I tell you, if you can get into the playoffs and punch your ticket there, an offense can typically carry you to a win or two, but you're going to need your defense to step up at some point because you can't win every game as a shootout.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that they were saying like about the 49ers with this year. They're like, is their defense solid enough to play well against the top teams in the league? And because the offense looks like, well, we'll get to that in a little bit when we talk about them on Monday night. But yeah, Jalen Hurts throwing for over 200. You would have thought that this would have been a lock Eagles win, but no.
If you
Dak
tuned in at
Prescott,
halftime, you did.
nope. And they went in, and Dallas won it. What in the fourth quarter? They didn't even go into overtime, did they? No, Dallas
Yep,
won it
yep.
in
The fourth
regulation.
quarter.
So the
But
Cowboys still sit. Was up.
I will say this is one of the rare times where I think the Eagles kind of played with the lead a little too much. They weren't
Uh,
necessarily as aggressive as they should have been because typically teams like the Eagles, the Lions, when they get these leads, they don't kind of just sit on the lead. They make you earn it.
right.
They drain the clock and run some trickery, go for it on fourth down. For the Eagles, it's the tush push.
Yeah.
And they just weren't able to do it. So you also got to give credit to the Dallas defense in this game against the top team because they did what they had to do at the end of the game to stifle Philadelphia enough for the offense to get in gear and get going.
Yeah. So right as of right now, not pending the results of tonight's game or Monday night's game, San Francisco sits at 7-4. Dallas currently sits at 5-5, 5-1 in the 10th spot. Rattle off a couple of wins. That's the
Yeah.
surprise one right there, though. 6-5 Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
All right, so the next game up came between the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers sit as the 6th seed, currently at 7-3-1, number 2 in their division behind the Chicago Bears, and they just beat up on Minnesota, who's just not having as good of a season as they thought they were going to have, sitting at 4-7. Your
Yeah,
thoughts on
I'll
this
be
game, sir?
honest. So out of college, I thought JJ McCarthy could be a good quarterback. But then he had that injury that essentially took away his rookie season. And I'll be honest, Minnesota didn't want to pay Kirk Cousins, and they probably should have, even though he's a perennial playoff non-performer. I won't call him a choker, but he's been a non-performer in the playoffs, but he's a good regular season. They were kind of tired of waiting to see if he could ever get over that hump while paying top quarterback money. So I kind of understand the move. But then
Yeah.
you draft J. McCarthy, and then you bring in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold leads your team to 14-3, I believe they were, or 15 and
Hmm.
2 or something like that. And
14-3, I believe.
yeah, you don't re-sign him and bring him back with JJ coming back off an injury. And McCarthy is showing the rookie struggles. It's really been a challenge watching him. He's really been, I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of games he's barely better than Dylan Gabriel was for the Cleveland Browns, and that's a shame with all the talent that the Vikings have. So they put all their eggs into the JJ McCarthy basket, and at least this year it's not paying off. Now maybe next year he takes that evolutionary step. They've got the weapons and talent. You got one of the top receivers in the game, but at the same
That's a fair to
time,
say.
if I was ownership of the Minnesota Vikings, and yeah, everybody wishes they was an owner because hey, life would be easy, you feel me? But I don't know how you don't sign Sam Darnold.
I feel you.
I
I
don't
feel you.
understand it. I mean, yeah, okay, and I get the part where okay, we had Kirk Cousins, he's getting us to the playoffs, but then we blow up in the playoffs and we don't win nothing. Okay, I can
Yeah.
understand that, but then you bring in Sam Darnold, who's fresh off of resurrecting his career with Frisco, and he leads you to the playoffs, coughs up the last couple games at the end of the season, coughs up in the playoffs. Okay, but you put everything on 100% unproven talent in JJ McCarthy.
Mhm.
So this is they're at a point where you can't necessarily waste time and waste years of this franchise with the players it has now, especially with the way the salary cap in the NFL works. You couldn't really afford to blow a year. So not re-signing him or franchise tagging him for at least one season just to see if JJ was right, and then either dealing him for a pick or letting him go the year after, but to just let him walk and go to Seattle for chump change for nothing and not get anything in return. Minnesota deserves every bit of the losses they've been catching.
And Seattle sits there right behind Los Angeles as the number 2 team in the West with Darnold at 8 and
Yeah,
3.
yeah,
Go figure. Go figure. All right. So before we focus in on this Sunday night football game, another one that I want to talk about that you mentioned was the NFL debut of Shador Sanders and the history that he made today, becoming the first Browns quarterback in like what 20 years or so
first
to
ever.
ever.
They were 0 and 17 for the first start of every quarterback's career. 0 and 17 opening days.
Damn. And now they are now they're 1 and 17 because Shador went on ahead and did his thing and uh took us to took them to a 24-10 win, throwing for 209 yards, one TD, one pick, ran for another -1 yards. Junkins went for 2 touchdowns. Yeah, and they did. I will give it credit. It's not like they're world beaters. It's not like they did this against New England. But wow, like that's insane, dude. Go on Shador. And he looked like a competent quarterback out there. I'm not saying he never was. I'm just saying he looked like a competent NFL quarterback. But the
Yeah,
reins are going to go back to Dylan Gabriel after he comes back from whatever concussion or injury he's in, because well, that's their guy. But Shador
yeah,
definitely made himself trade. Yeah, I think he gave a good enough performance to make himself trade bait for a quarterback desperate, or for a team quarterback that needs a quarter, or team that needs a quarterback.
yeah. A lot of people harped on the half of football he had in last week's game. I saw a lot of positives in that game. They were a deflected pass away from tying that game late against a competent Ravens team.
Mm-hmm. He's
And
won
then
like
I think
4 straight now, right?
yeah, and then I believe that if Shador had reps the pass before that he overthrew a little bit to a guy that was wide open in the back of the end zone. I think if he had the reps, he makes that throw, and I think that they have a lot more victories, not a ton, but at least more than they have now. Victories this season had he been given the nod over Gabriel.
over
Um,
Gabriel.
yeah, I'm gonna be. He played well today. He had a lot of deep throws, a lot of good throws. The interception was a bad one, but that's a learning
Yeah,
mistake. But overall, I mean, he set up. Not only did he get his first NFL touchdown for the third of the day, but he also had long throws that got them in position for. Well, he got one long throw, or two long throws, and then they rushed it in with Judkins to get the scores. People kind of harped on, it was kind of a screen pass for his
yeah,
first touchdown, but those are plays that, those happen in the NFL that or in any football game. You throw a little slant out or a little screeny type pass, and the guy gets off and gets on his horse and gallops onto the end zone. So, you give him his credit. It wasn't the 60+ yard bomb, but he did have one of those today, I believe a 66 yarder.
Ooh,
So
that play was beautiful.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm real curious on if he gets one more start, even if Gabriel's healthy, or if they
Mhm.
just go straight back to Gabriel because now he's upped his trade value in the offseason and they can package him with the pick. I believe it's not going to I believe they won't trade him for a straight pick. I believe that they'll package him with one of their picks to move up a bit higher for whatever round that they're trying to move up into. So,
Whatever person they're trying to get.
yeah, and what's funny, and this would be kind of just desserts, because I wasn't the biggest Baker Mayfield fan, even though he, had the Kirk Cousins effect, doing decently enough to get you in the playoffs, and then shit the bed in the playoffs. But
Yeah,
they jettison him, and then they try to go to Deshaun Watson, and Watson had been a good quarterback, but the off-field stuff, which we don't need to get into, but it turns out Deshaun Watson needed them to run the Clemson playbook, which I guess nobody really understood that that's how you had to do to get him to look like a good quarterback. And they weren't willing to necessarily do that. They've been going through a ton of quarterbacks. If they give up Sanders, I don't see them becoming a playoff worthy contender with Gabriel at the helm. He hasn't done anything or shown me anything in any game he's played other than the last game he got knocked out of where he had a good completion
Thanks for
percentage,
pizza.
but still hadn't really done
The cheesy
anything with
bread.
the ball. So hats off to Shador. He did exactly what he
Pizza,
needed to do
pizza.
with a week of
Cheesy bread.
actual prep and reps.
Lemon.
You can see what he could do.
Duster.
So we'll see what happens going forward. I'm curious what happens next week. Stefanski has a lot to answer for. If Gabriel's healthy, I expect him to start, but Sanders definitely put himself in a position to challenge for that number one spot. And
I would say go ahead.
I'll also say that let's put this in the bigger picture. They won today. They're not
Uh,
really in the playoff hunt, but they won today. What happens if Gabriel goes out next week, has a so-so game, and they lose? Does Stefanski lose the locker room at that point?
that's a valid question. That's a valid question because in a lot of people's eyes, Shador went out there and proved that he should have been getting reps a long time ago. The minute they
Yep.
decided to trade Joe Flacco, he should have been getting
Even
some kind of reps with the
10%.
person.
Realistically,
Yep.
25% of the snaps should have been his. I understand the rookie thing, but you got to make sure your backup is prepared, especially in the sport of football, where one play could end a guy's career. You
Right.
got to make sure the next guy is at least, at least understanding of what you're trying to do.
Right. All right, man. So this is the last game we'll talk about before we talk about the Monday night game, real quick, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who currently are losing big time to the Rams. And unfortunately, Matt Stafford is the reason why.
No,
Swab knows
no.
why.
I mean, you know, that was really messed up is I feel bad for that tight end, I believe it was, or low end wide receiver that caught the ball and his knee went down as he bobbled it, and then he got possession at the same time the defender did. The defender strips him, runs for the touchdown to put them up 14-0. And I'm in my head, I'm like, well, why don't you challenge that? It looked like his knee was down, and at that moment, the tie goes to the receiver.
Right.
But they didn't challenge it. They got the Rams obviously understood that it could be challenged, went out there and kicked the extra point super fast.
Super
So, I
fast.
mean, the reason that they're down so big right now, that's the Buccaneers' fault.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But it's just wild. The Rams are really, really rolling.
Yeah.
Like really, really rolling. Like they're gonna be dangerous moving forward.
And they could
Hey,
potentially
what's
end up
good,
with
Saint?
a top 3 overall pick next year. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Well, through who? Who did they trade for?
I believe they've got the Falcons pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, yeah, that could be very, very interesting
Yeah,
then.
they own somebody's first round pick, and I want to say it's somebody that's on the bottom feeder rung right now and has a chance to be like a top 3, top 5 pick.
Dang.
Right?
All right. So we are also lastly looking at the 49ers who are taking on the Carolina Panthers, the surging Carolina Panthers, mañana, tomorrow night on their first Monday Night Football with Brock Purdy back. First, let's get your thoughts on Carolina and the Niners. Like, how do you see this game playing
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know why this game per se would have been chosen for Monday Night Football, considering the Panthers have been, abysmal the last handful of seasons. But
Yeah.
you give them credit this year, hell, even a couple weeks ago, I'd have said, "Oh, Niners going to cakewalk this." They'd have beat them with Mac Jones. They'd have beat them with Shanahan, at the quarterback. So,
Yeah.
but now, I mean, I don't know. The Niners have a lot of injuries on the defense, but I am a believer that Saleh is an excellent defensive coordinator. So if Saleh can make sure to game plan correctly, hopefully he can do enough. But
Yeah.
at this point, you've got to give Carolina credit. They might put up a good fight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially with Rico Dowell back there doing his thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I expect this to be a tough game. I do not expect the 49ers to roll over this. The one difference that I think will be made is that Carolina's defense, unfortunately, isn't quite as good as that Niners offense. So I was like, with McCaffrey and Kittle and Purdy back, like, I just don't see them falling there. This offense put up 41 last week. I'm not saying they're going to put up another 40, but I don't see them falling too far off from at least 28 to 30, and then hopefully the defense can hold Carolina in check, and we won't see them score more than 7 or 10. But we'll see. We'll see. The Niners, as much as 7-4, the Niners need this win to stay relevant as the team continues to get healthy. So the final subject we'll talk about for this half, it will be the 49ers have, I guess, evidently during training camp, voided a bunch of guaranteed money for the future years of Brandon Ayuk's contract. There are some people out there saying, especially in the Niners circles, that this means that Ayuk will never see the field again as a 49er. Swab, what are your thoughts?
I'll be honest. I've seen a lot of ex-professional athletes chime in on this, including a lot of ex-football players. And I gotta be honest, speaking from our point of view, if I'm under contract for millions of dollars and
Hundreds of millions.
I'm hurt and I can't play, and all you have to do is go to a couple hour meetings every day, literally a couple hours where you just sit there and talk. It's not like you do any labor. You don't do
Yeah.
anything physical. You just got to use your brain or just be present. But you
Yeah.
miss team functions, you miss meetings. And I'll be honest, every single professional athlete was like, I would have got my bag. I mean, they're paying me. That's what you have
Mm-hmm.
to do as a professional athlete. It's not like you can just be like, my leg hurts. I'm not going to go into work today. And I mean, this is definitely different than what the Raiders had happen with Christian Wilkins and voiding his contract, which
Yeah.
apparently went through. You know, I know he filed his grievance and stuff, but we haven't heard nothing about that all season. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming Ayuk apparently is not going to put up a petition
No,
or
yeah, they've already said the article that I read said that he's already told the NFLPA that he's not going to file it.
yeah. So you go from this guaranteed money to now you if you go to wherever you're happy, and my assumption is he's going to Washington, but it'll be on now instead of going for good money, you're going to have to go on a prove it deal. And it might be, you know, for us it'll be great, probably like 3 years, 15 million, or 2 years, 10 million, or maybe he even gets 2 years, 20 million, maybe he gets 10 a season, who knows? But I'm betting dollars to donuts. He's about to be a Washington Commander next year to pair up with his buddy from Arizona State.
It's very, very possible, but I don't know. I don't know. The Niners have him locked up for the next 4 years. They can kind of do
as soon as they
wanna
voided him, they're getting ready to cut him.
Oh yeah, because they're making sure that they're not going to get that cap hit for the guaranteed money on the $240 million contract. Yeah, they got rid of that, but that guaranteed money. But I don't know. I think just kind of like with the contract, we may see this come down to a last minute. Shanahan saying that he would still love for Ayuk to play this season, but I think the offense is good with or without him. With Kendrick Bourne and Juwan Jennings, which are basically clone receivers, identical receivers of each other, as far as I'm concerned, and then you got Kittle and Pearsall is back. I think the Niners offense with Christian McCaffrey, I think the Niners offense will be just fine without him. But it's going to be interesting to see what they get back for him, because I doubt with all the stuff that's going on, they're getting a first round pick for him. Like,
oh no, he's getting cut. They're not getting nothing for him.
I hope not. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. So after the break, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA Cup and also just kind of the games that took place this last week within the NBA. You are watching The Classroom right here on Twitch or YouTube. And I am Dark Lord 100. He is Swab. I'm going to go before my voice goes, and we'll hit that 5-minute break. Peace.
We back at it. Yep, we still doing it. Poetic beat. First GenXers. Gia. Let's get it, y'all. Come on. We back in the building. It's been a long time cooking in the soup kitchen. And I'm chilling with the same. Dropping these beats won't stop, nope, I can't. Let me get up in the lab, turn it up. Game on with the First GenXers. What's up? Let's flip on the Switch or the Xbox and get up in my zone, I'm clowning. Let me clear my throat for a minute. Shout out to my folks while I'm in it. It ain't nothing but love, it's babe business. I really don't know what's so who ain't feeling this. And this is only the beginning. Now versus then, this is something for the chillin'. Poetic got the joints like McDonald's. I'm loving it. It's the First GenXers. We're now rocking with Poetic Beats. This is the First GenXers production. Get your PlayStations out. Get your Xbox out. Get your Switch out. Let's get it in, y'all. Holla back.
Most of y'all weak as shit and would've started running. Every time I make it back, for the most high. Let me see all of it. Grateful, I'm lovely. And I'm being real with this. Please don't judge me. I'ma stay on my shit. I'ma keep a grind mode button. Push it, make it do something. No balls for me, cause I'm a loose cannon. I get to choose, camera, switch it up. Look up a new banner. Keep smoking on that banner.
They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the definition of beauty is distorted. Yeah, come on. Searching for yourself, so insecure about the way you look, so you go to Miami. You can't find the love within yourself.
I said that was just. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was just some news and notes from the First GenXers broadcast network and radio network over here on Live 365. All right, so we are back, and this time we are back to talk some NBA, National Basketball Association. Let's start out with the NBA Cup. Oh, well, actually, let's start out with the Pistons. The Pistons have been on a roll. They're what? They're at sorry. They're sitting atop the East, I believe, and they have won 12 straight games. Have you been watching what this young team over there in Detroit is doing?
And then they're starting to believe. That's the key. Once you get that confidence, you start gaining, more and more confidence in the player and team and teammates. You start stringing together victories. They've been drafting well, obviously. I'm a big believer in the guys that they've been bringing in. So, I didn't see a 12-game winning streak happening, but I did eventually assume, including last year, I believe they made the playoffs last year. I forget who they lost to, but they're an up and coming Eastern team. They've got
I
a
want
lot
to
of
say
youth.
Indiana.
Yeah. They've got a lot of youth over there, and eventually, as a fan of a team, you want to see them, take that next step. And this is the kind of thing that those young teams do is once they start to figure it out, it reminds me of the Cavs when the Cavs, you know, finally started going on the upward swing and started winning games. They still needed that trade to kind of, bring in that alpha player to kind of take everything over, but they were already on the upward trend. So it's good for Detroit. I always appreciate Detroit's fan base because they remind me a lot of Oakland, blue collar, gritty. But they do have a winning championship history. Uh, outside of,
My boy
the Lions
Piston.
have never won a title, but the Pistons have won some. I believe the Tigers have won a chip or three in the time that they've been in Detroit. So, I always kind of root for those blue collar cities that they always kind of, dog in the main media.
And they're not bad, averaging giving up 112 a game. Again, this is early in the season. The Pistons may lose 25 straight. Again, they are a young team, and who knows which way they're going to go. But at the end of the day, I think that they are one of the biggest stories right now and one of the funnest teams to watch. Like you said, they were, to me, not necessarily that Detroit reminds me of Oakland. It's that this Detroit Pistons team reminds me a lot of that early Warriors team and that we believe team, the strength in numbers team, like where everybody has a role, everybody plays their role, and it's what makes the team great.
They start to figure it out.
Yep. Now, right, because right as of now, they're sitting 2-3 games above the Cavs, the number 1 seed from last year. I believe the Knicks were the number 4 seed last year, and they're 9-6. The Bulls 9-7 with the 76ers, and then the Magic, who I actually think should be in that top 6, are sitting at number 9 with 10-8. But the East is young, the East is fun, and I think that whoever comes out of the East, they may not necessarily win the title because I don't know if Oklahoma City can be stopped. They will make for, just like with Indiana last year, they will make for a fun matchup no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say OKC doesn't feel as unbeatable as those Warriors teams because Indiana did take them to game 7, and I am a believer that if Halliburton doesn't miss that game, maybe Oklahoma City isn't the champs right now. And it may have been an Indiana one shot. Those teams kind of creep up and bite you
Yeah,
occasionally for the teams that you think should be the overwhelming favorites. I mean, hell, we almost just saw it in the World Series with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. I thought the Dodgers were kind of an overwhelming favorite to win that series, and the Blue Jays gave them every ounce of almost winning it from them. So I'm curious to see what 3 or 4 teams really make noise in the Eastern Conference. I think Detroit. I mean, they could be young enough to not know any better kind of stance. They could make a
right.
run late in the season in the playoffs. I do believe the Cleveland will be looking to have a better performance than they did last year. Um, um, it's the East is kind of wide open for somebody to make a name, especially with Indiana and the Celtics seemingly definitely out of it this year.
Yeah, because Indiana's like, they won 1 game, maybe 2, showing you how important Tyrese Halliburton really was to that squad.
Yeah.
And yeah, the like I said, the Celtics are sitting in a 9 seed, 10 seed, and 9-6 or 9-8.
Yeah, they're holding on to that play-in bid. I don't, a couple of losses and the play-in bid is over for them, but I don't expect them to do anything, even if they luck into the play-in and they actually win a game or two to get into the playoffs. I don't even see them winning the first series.
Dang. All right. So, all right. So next up, the thing we're going to look at here is going to be the NBA Cup standings for as we sit right now, and that is that we have. There we go. All right. So we have Toronto, then clinched. Pacers have been eliminated. Detroit's 2-0 in their games. Orlando's right behind them at 2-0. Milwaukee is at 2-0 with the Heat behind them at 2-1. The Thunder, of course, are 2-0 with the Suns behind them. Kevin Durant-less Suns playing better than some people thought. The Lakers are 2-0 and the Clippers are 2-0 in their group. And the Trailblazers are 2-1 and the Nuggets are 2-1. Now the Trailblazers at 2-1 is very interesting because the Trailblazers got to 2-1 by beating the Warriors by 4 this last Friday. And what's going on, man? What is going on? Like, I get it. They're figuring it out, but I don't know. Like, how you feeling about the teams within the NBA Cup right now, especially the top teams like the Bucks, the Pistons, the Raptors, Thunder, Lakers, Blazers. And then how are you feeling about the most recent struggle of the Warriors?
I figured the Warriors are gonna win more than lose. I knew it was gonna be an interesting season of getting guys to gel as a unit. I figure it'll come. I figure they'll start going on their runs. Middle late of the season, once they start getting better gaps in between games. They did play a lot of games, I believe 17 in the first 29 days of the season. So there was a lot of opportunity for the youngsters to get some run and maybe squeeze out some victories. I believe Kerr is attempting to play chess. He is looking to see what guys can do in what situations, giving them runs, sitting the veterans. I mean, you got to sit the big four: Curry, Draymond, Butler, and Horford. They can't do back to backs per se. You might occasionally see one do a back to back if they're feeling real chippy about being sat. But he's trying to play chess. He's calculated losses with potential to get the wins, and at the same time grooming the youngsters and giving them a crap ton of minutes that will become more important once the season is tighter, especially if they once they make the playoffs. I believe that these minutes will be where we find out who can do what in what situations, and Kirk can start lining up his lineups to reflect that.
Amen. Amen. He's gonna have to do something because here's the deal: we can't lose too many
Yeah.
early because then you just put us completely out by the time we're ready to climb back in. And so, that can keep you out the top 6, which is where you want to be. You don't want to be fighting in that play-in again, even though we won our way in, to that 7 seed. The Warriors won their way into that 7 seed. That's not where you want to be every year, trying to fight back. And should have made the conference finals. I'm not one to say, if Steph Curry didn't get hurt, but if Steph Curry didn't get hurt, there's a good chance they beat the Timberwolves last year. So much better chance than they have with no Steph Curry. But as for the NBA Cup, bro, what are your thoughts just on it overall? It's been around for 2-3 years now. Has it made you want to watch at all?
It's trash.
Damn.
I mean, I'm just gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I mean, I don't like it. I think it's added nonsense in the middle of the season. They tried to add some weight to the season, but I think it's an actual detriment to the season. Now you're looking at, you've got your overall stats, which is what it's really about. I might even feel different if the top two teams that made the cup got automatic bids to be in the playoffs or something like that. Even like the worst team in the league wins the freaking cup, and but then their auto bid to go to the playoffs. Put some real value on this cup, because otherwise, to me, it's just a waste of time where they gussy up the court and look, these courts they've been playing on, they look terrible. I mean, the whole cup thing, honestly, I think it's a overblown fiasco. I think the NBA is trying to do too much. It doesn't really create any extra incentive for people to watch because, I mean, let's be honest. When people like the Lakers are hoisting the freaking cup winning thing like it's some kind of championship banner, that's the dumbest thing. For me, it's terrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I can see that perspective. I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think that the idea is solid. I think the execution was a little off in how they did it. I thought that if you're going to say a mid-season tournament, I hate to say it like this because this is going to sound like nitpicking. Really, is don't make the matchups count. Like, don't use regular season games to play this. Have it be a tournament. Like the All-Star break starts. The All-Star break is now a month instead of just a couple of weeks. The All-Star break starts at the beginning of February. That's when you start your tournament. And then the teams play each other down to a champion by the end of the month.
Yeah, but we also
the games don't. but the games
We
don't
also
count
live
to
in
the
the
win
load
loss.
management era, so adding more
Yeah.
games to the season and then taking games away from the regular season, now your records aren't going to mean as much. I mean, they
Well, no,
really
I'm not
opened up a
saying take any
Pandora's
games away
box.
from the regular season. I'm saying extra games. You
Oh
playing
yeah,
the
yeah.
NBA
You
Cup
know
for
the
extra
players ain't
money.
doing that. They're barely playing 82 games right now.
I'm like, you still play all your regular season game. It's just that the season is extended out more by almost 3 weeks because instead of having just the one weekend off or the 1 week off during All-Star break time, All-Star break would start at the beginning of February and would end at the end of February with the NBA Cup championship and All-Star game. And then what you do from there is then you pick up the regular season wherever they left off and you play it out. It would probably put the NBA finals taking place in July, but I don't think anybody would have a problem with that.
Until it actually came to fruition, then all of a sudden everybody's going to have a problem with it.
True. True. So all right. Let's see what kind of pop subjects we can find here from other sports. Some things that have gone down. We're looking at Formula One. The championship battle intensifies after the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Van Steppen won the race while Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri from McLaren were disqualified, which significantly tightened the point standing to put Verstappen in reach of his fifth F1 title. Lewis Hamilton had an unhappy and terrible season finish in Las Vegas. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that big hit for McLaren. They weren't necessarily world beating it this year, but to be DQ'd, in a big time event, allowing Verstappen to get back into the race, that's pretty huge for that sport.
Yeah.
He's a four-time champ. You're still waiting to see what happens with Hamilton and Ferrari and all that.
Mhm.
But I mean, that was huge to get DQ'd and not to even be able to compete because you've done something they deem disqualifying to the vehicle. I mean, that's pretty wild when you get caught.
Yeah, yeah. Like I thought, like that didn't go on in racing. Isn't that what they say in NASCAR? Like
Yeah,
that
if you
don't go
ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
on. Now the National Women's Soccer League has had a champion crowned, and Gotham FC secured the NWSL championship, defeating Washington Spirit 1-0 with the decisive goal by Rose Lavelle. Have you ever been intrigued to watch the National Women's Soccer League, sir? And no offense to the ladies, I'm just asking this.
Yeah, I don't turn that on, and if it's on, I'm not gonna stay on that channel. I only watch women's soccer when it's the Olympics and the World Cup because they win.
There you go. There you go. Let's see. In soccer, more soccer, in the English Premier League, Arsenal beat Tottenham 4-1 in North London derby, with Eze scoring a hat trick to answer Arsenal's 6 points clear at the top of the table. Off the field. See, if you don't understand what any of this shit means, this sounds like babble. Like
Yeah,
what? But I actually do understand what it means. It says off the field, the smallest nation by population, Curacao made history by qualifying for a World Cup. Hey, could get this. The industry is interesting this year. Curacao goes on a run. Next thing you know, we're sitting here on the show talking about them being the World Cup champions.
I'm still waiting for the United States men's to actually do something in soccer instead of always losing. And how is it we have the best women in the world in soccer and some of the worst men?
I don't know because like
It's weird, right?
Mexico, like the MLS seemed to recruit plenty of people from the US to play soccer just fine.
Yeah. But for
But I
whatever
do
reason, when it comes to World Cup, we never do anything. We haven't been to a finals ever. I don't even think we've been to the quarterfinals ever or the semifinals or
I
whatever
want
it
to
is
say
right
we had a
before the
decent run in like the early 2000s at some point.
yeah,
Like
Landon
decent.
Donovan and all them back in the day. I mean, and Freddie Adu, I remember him. But for
Yeah,
the most part,
just boo boo.
yeah. Now the
Uh
women, champions.
yeah. Yeah, multiple times. Brandy Chastain, I'll never forget that.
Yep.
That was one of the best things there. I'll say, no, I do want to see the men do something before I go. Like just
Yeah. Just once.
Just once. Let's see. College football playoff picture remained complex after week 13, with several top teams like Oregon and Ohio State making strong cases for a spot in the Final Four. Unlike our video game, there's more than two teams that go to the championship game every year. But no, I think
this
that
playoffs this year should be real interesting. I'm kind of curious. I'm lightweight rooting for Indiana. You know, they
yeah,
got Mendoza. He transferred out from Cal for the NIL money. And
dude,
I mean, yeah, I feel that. But if Cal's not going to pay him, which they should have, to
yeah.
keep him, I mean, you see what he's doing with Indiana. Their roster is no better than what he's got at Cal, and they're undefeated. And sure, they did need a last second victory to stay undefeated, but still, you know.
Well, I'll say it like this: I think Indiana's going to surprise some people, and we may see Indiana in the championship game. I'm not I wouldn't bet my house on it, but
I might not want to see
look
that because I don't want to see them get blown out by whoever they facing. You feel me? Unless it's
like
two
Ohio State.
Cinderellas. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just. Did you hear about that? Was the other story that I wanted to chat with you about? Did you hear about James Franklin? I believe he used to coach Penn State, the black head coach. He got hired on at Virginia Tech. Yeah, he got another job at Virginia Tech now. So I'm like, right on. Hopefully he'll make them relevant.
I just heard today that Ron Rivera fired the Cal head coach, sent him packing. And what's crazy about that? He still owed $10.9 million.
It's college coaches.
I'll be honest. Had I ever been told that coaches who are under contract can get fired and still owed every dime on that contract, I would have chosen a different career path on career day.
Bro, no. What was the dude from was it LSU? Who was the dude that got the $52 million payout?
Oh, there's been a ton of them, bro. I mean, the
It
coaches,
was
they
recent,
get
though.
fired. I'm not sure.
Hold on, I'm looking them up right now.
Yeah, but they get fired and they get owed every dime of that contract. That is the wildest thing.
Okay, so several college football coaches have been paid to leave their jobs, with Jimbo Fisher receiving the largest buyout ever of $76.8 million from Texas A&M in 2023. More recently, that's what it was. Brian Kelly received a buyout of $53 million from LSU.
I mean, let's be honest, bro. That kind of money, even at the competitive level of college football, I mean, you're talking 50 or 78 million. And that doesn't include what they had earned up to that point. But to get that kind of money, that's like winning the lottery. That's generational wealth for your family to not be a good coach Jimbo Fisher was decent and Kelly was all right, but I'm just like, man, it's wild what they do for the coaches, and yet the players had to fight to get paid.
Yep. Yeah, that shit's bullshit. Well, say Fisher was better at Florida State.
Yep.
And Kelly was better at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
As far as their quality, they had some good seasons at both LSU and Texas A&M. But
yeah, wasn't Kelly the coach when Joe Burrow for LSU and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, I want to say that. Yeah, because he got paid out. He got fired this year.
Yeah, and I think Jimbo, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jimbo was the head coach when they had Jameis Winston at Florida State, and they won the chip then. So I mean, these guys are championship level coaches, but still, 120 million between the two to not coach is wild.
Here's the question for you. Question of the day for you. What team drafted Jameis Winston?
Where the hell did he go with the damn crab legs? Why am I blanking on it? He's been with so many teams now. I'm actually blanking on it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right?
Was it the Bucks?
Yeah.
Was it the Bucks? All right, so
Yeah,
let's
because
go to
I
usual
remember he
reset.
had the one season where, I mean, honestly, Jameis looked good a lot of times, but he did throw a ton of interceptions the one year, and then he goes and gets the LASIK surgery, and then they cut him the year after that. So we never even got to see him as the starting quarterback with the surgery.
Give this man his flowers. Jameis Winston was drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in
Number one
2015.
overall.
Number
Yeah.
one overall. Like it. No, I was having a conversation with Faded on Cole earlier today about like where Jameis Winston. I'm like, he didn't play for so many teams. Like I
And
can't
it feels
remember
like
which
it.
one.
It
Like,
And I saw a meme that said Jameis Winston every year should play one game for one team every year. All 32 teams. He should just go and play one through 16. He plays a game for each of them. Half the damn teams in the league in one season. I was like, you know what? I'd be curious to see how that would work.
yep. No, I would love to see the teams go along with it.
Yeah, that'd be
You know, so
hilarious.
as one team cuts him and puts him on waivers, the next team on the list picks him up, gives him
Yep.
one game, one meaningless
Uh-huh.
game, and then he gets cut again, and then the next team picks him up. I'd watch that.
That would be hilarious.
That would be straight hilarious. But all right, that is going to wrap it up for us for this week. As I said, the sports quiz and the pop culture quiz are on hiatus for the next couple of weeks as I get my computer back together. But me and Swab won't, because he's on again, off again. So should be me and O'Malley next week for the show. But wherever you guys join us, keep coming back because we've got more here for you. Sports is only getting crazier by the day. So it's just going to be fun to watch as things happen. And in honor of O'Malley, I'll go ahead and close us out with "Fuck LeBron," and that'll do it for us.
The Shador Sanders era has begun.
Oh yeah. Let's get it, boy. Let's get it. Y'all take care of each other. Peace.